Wigs are so expensive, right? Why is that? I am sure you've wondered that. So many people have wondered that so many times. Why are they so expensive? And why is it that some are so expensive and some are so much less expensive, right? Some wigs are only $800, which is still kind of expensive, right? Some are $3,000 and some are $20,000 and some are even more than that. I'm here to explain. I'm Chana Mizrahi, the CEO of Mazet Wigs, and I'm here to talk about why wigs are so expensive. So there are a lot of reasons for this. A lot of people think, okay, it's just price gouging. Well, sometimes it is. I'll be honest. Sometimes it really is. Most of the time it's not. Most of us in the wig business are honest, hardworking people in the business of selling items that are very expensive to make. But honestly, sometimes it really is price gouging. There are some people, I guess in any industry where items are expensive, whether it's jewelry, diamonds, cars, wigs, real estate, any industry where items are very costly, there will be people in that industry who are just not honest, and they take advantage and they price gouge because they can. So there are some people, I'm not going to name names, but there are some people in the wig business who will take a junky quality wig, stick a huge price tag on it, and people fall for it. And some people don't even look closely because they just assume, wow, if it has a $20,000 price tag on it, it must be pretty amazing. So I'm just going to pay for it and I'll have an amazing wig, and they're in for a huge disappointment. I'm not saying a wig is never worth $20,000. I'm just saying a wig is rarely worth $20,000. So if you are in that price range, look closely, ask a lot of questions. You should walk away with your amazing $20,000 wig with a full understanding of why you just spent $20,000 on a wig. And it shouldn't just be because it was made by a celebrity, because it's the same brand that celebrities wear, because you bought it in a glamorous salon, because you got such a nice treatment. What's amazing about the wig should be the actual wig, and you should have a full understanding of why is this worth $20,000. And there is price gouging that happens at lower price levels too. But moving on from that, wigs really truly are very expensive to make. First of all, there's the hair. Imagine if you had, this is European virgin hair. This is actually styled. I usually wear it air dried, but I went to a wedding and I styled it for a wedding and left it like this. Look how my hand just moves through it. The hair is so soft and amazing. But these on the rack are all just air dried natural textures. Now imagine this is your natural hair and it just air dries like this without doing anything to it. You have this hair and it's amazing. And you grew it really, really long. And someone comes to you and says, cut it to your chin. I want to buy it to make it into a wig. Think about how much they would have to offer to you for you to say, oh, okay, yes, I accept. It would have to be a lot, right? Okay, so the hair is expensive. Now, this is a low density wig. Still, it's not just made from one head of hair. This is 110% density. 100% density is an average head of hair. So this is, if we were to use an entire ponytail for a wig, which we can't because there's breakage there. Even in an overall amazing quality head of hair, there are still some hairs that they're too short, they're not such nice quality. There's still some hairs that need to get cleaned, sorted out. So we don't use the entire head of hair. Typically we need 2 or 3 heads of hair to make a single wig. And that's a low density wig. My typical density is 130%. That's a fully hand-tied one, so it's lower density. So the hair is expensive and we need a lot of it. We also need 3 inches more length than the length of the wig. So the hair itself is pretty expensive if we're using quality hair. Then we get to the workmanship. This part, the top and the front, are hand-tied. The rest is wefted, meaning it's made into rows of hair. It's sewn by machine into rows of hair that can be sewn into the wig. I'll show you what a weft is. See, this is a weft. So most wigs are made of wefts, but the top is hand-tied so that it's multi-directional. So that's very time-consuming. Someone has to sit there with a needle, it's called a ventilating needle, and knot by knot every single hair to the piece of lace that will make the scalp. And some of the wigs are fully hand-tied, like this one. This has no wefts. The entire cap is hand-tied. So every single hair. This one took 10 weeks to manufacture because every part of it is hand-tied. So you can imagine, this is why we manufacture overseas, by the way. These short hairs are called return hairs. So when the hair is knotted to the scalp, the hair is tied to the scalp, and like when you tie a string, like when you tie a knot, there are 2 strands then hanging from the knot. So we leave one long and one short. The long one is the long hair, and then the short one is called the return hair. So they blend into the wig, but when you're looking for them, you find them because they're there in any lace wig. Anyway, so the manufacturing process is very expensive. But even when we manufacture overseas where labor is much cheaper, still it's costly, it's time consuming. Then there are shipping costs, there are import tariffs, and then there's the cost of running a business. It's not as simple as, okay, so the wig cost me this much and now I'm selling it for this much. Buy a wig, sell a wig. It's not that simple. There are employees to be paid, there are taxes to be paid, there's the cost of running a salon, the shampoos, the conditioners, the dyes, the developers, the toners, the shipping labels to print. I have to have a label printer, I have to have a regular printer, I have a salon chair, I have all my salon equipment, all my sewing equipment, I have the utilities for the salon, I have all these, I have my marketing employees, all the, there are a lot of costs to running a business. And depending on the size of a bigger business has bigger costs. So, and I'm a wholesaler. The further down the line you get, everybody has to make their profit. So the manufacturer has to make the profit, and then the wholesaler has to make their profit, and then they're selling to the retailer who has to make their profit. They all have their businesses, their warehouses, their factories, their employees. So businesses that advertise that they're cutting out the middle person, and that's why they can offer such a great deal. Like I'm a wholesaler, I'm not paying a wholesaler, I am the wholesaler. I'm getting directly from the factory. I'm designing the wigs and manufacturing them directly in the factory and bringing them here straight from the factory, so I can offer much better prices. They're still expensive to make. There's no cheap way to get this kind of quality. But when a business says, we offer you better deals by cutting out the middle person, it makes sense because it does cut out a lot of the costs. But when you think about it, how much does it cost to buy the hair, to make the wig, everything that goes into it? And there's so much. You might think, if you don't know wig making, you might think it's as simple as, okay, so you take hair and you sew it to a cap. Like, what's the big deal? But it's so complicated, and there's so much to learn and so much that goes into it. And then there's all the costs and everything that goes into running a business on top of it and marketing a business. And then there's the next business, the retail business. From there, it's really a lot. And then there's the customer service level. You have to have in mind, okay, all the hours that I'm going to spend with the customer at that level and cutting the wig, customizing it, doing all the finishing work. And then what if they're still not happy and they still want to keep coming back and want to keep customizing it? And those are all hours that I'm not charging more for. I'm not making more money. I'm not making additional sales. And that's a cost too. And then if you offer a warranty, which everybody should, but if you offer a warranty, you have to take that into consideration also, that hopefully a very tiny percentage, but there's still a percentage that of the wigs that will come back that you'll have to either offer a free replacement or a refund or free repairs. So that also adds to the business cost, and you have to be prepared to absorb that. So you have to charge enough to make that make sense too. And these are very pricey items. They're expensive to repair. They're expensive to make. They're expensive for us too. People think they don't cost anything for us. Someone told me, oh, you sell a wig for $3,000. It's a $3,000 profit. No, I sell a wig for $3,000. I barely made anything. In fact, I did sell a wig yesterday for $3,300, and immediately it went right away to paying everything, paying the employees and paying just the bills from the business as a result of that wig. And when I looked at my account to see what was left, like, okay, so how much did I actually profit from that wig? I have $68 left from that wig. So usually I do profit a little more than that per wig, but that particular wig, I happen to profit only $68 from it. So that's actually really bad. And if my profits in general were that low per wig, I would definitely have to increase my prices a lot. But thank God they usually are higher than that per wig. But think about this. It is in your best interest if your favorite wig store is able to profit enough from selling you your favorite wigs that they're able to stay in business for the next time you need a wig also. So it's not just for your benefit alone. It has to make sense for them too, because just like you work hard to make a living, so do we. And it has to make sense for all of us. And I know very few wig sellers who are actually wealthy doing this, but we all work very hard. And again, price gouging does happen, but in most cases, when you pay for good quality, you are getting what you pay for. And be careful, because there is price gouging that happens, and be very, very careful. But if a deal seems too good to be true, often it is. And when you pay for quality, usually you do get what you pay for, up to a point. I have so much more I could say about this topic, but I'm limited to 15 minutes in YouTube Shorts. So maybe I'll do a follow-up video, but please feel free to reach out and ask me anything.